For those of you who know me, you'll know that I'm a huge World War II history buff and have read extensively about it. And it all started and was rooted in my childhood when my mother and father would share with me stories about my mother's father, who was a World War II distinguished flying cross decorated war pilot. He was a squadron leader. He used to fly Hawker Hurricanes and Spitfires. He was in the Battle of Britain. He's been in some books and some films, and he was a really fascinating character, which really intrigued me as a little guy. And I developed a fascination in this. And I came across this story. It was being used to discuss the idea of survivorship bias, which is basically only focusing on survivors of a given situation. It's a cognitive fallacy that there's reasons why they survived, which doesn't always prove to be true because it's always at the exclusion of the non-survivors. So all of the information isn't being factored in to the equation. And I thought it would be a great story to share with you, especially in this current landscape we find ourselves in. When you're out there doing business, like I've said previous times before, you need to come in with creative solutions, you need to produce results, and you need to think out of the box because the same old just isn't working right now. And people need to have ingenuity, leadership, confidence from people they work with. So here's how the story goes. When these aircraft would go out and conduct bombing runs, when they returned from those bombing runs, the engineers would take a look at the aircraft and they'd see all sorts of battle damage, whether it was from flak or bullet holes. It would be all throughout the fuselage, concentrated in certain areas of the plane. And they thought, hey, you know what? We better double down on the armor in these specific areas because they're taking a lot of damage there. And that would seem like the obvious solution and the best way of going forward on making sure the pilots return safely. But one brilliant engineer was standing back, kind of taking all this information in, and he looked at it differently and he thought, no, guys, what we need to do is we need to put the armor in the areas where these bullet holes aren't, because clearly those are the planes that didn't return, and those are the vulnerable and most susceptible areas. So I thought that was just brilliant. So there's a little picture in the post here which shows you an example of the damage of the surviving planes. Great example, great metaphor, analogy, however you want to look at it. But this is how you need to view your business right now and how you're going about doing things, because the obvious solution to a problem isn't always the best solution to a problem. And it's not always the right solution either. You're not always correct. So it's also demonstrates a great opportunity for you, just like there was a collaborative effort with those engineers to determine the best course of action. And sure, it was the one individual who came up with the best solution and the right solution. But if you have a mastermind group of other professionals or people that you work closely with, I'm not suggesting you go out and ask everybody and their brother and everybody you know. Ask people you work closely with that you trust and respect. You should have maybe a small and tight inner circle and mastermind with those people. Because remember, guys, one and one is not two. It should be 11 when you're working with really highly quality people, high quality people. So I hope that story shed some light on a different way of thinking for you. You put it into use right away. You can do it personally, professionally. It's going to serve you well, guys. So change your story. Have an awesome day. My link is below for Calendly. If you want to reach out, have a discovery session, talk about your business, talk about where you're stuck, and just to say hello. Always love hearing from you. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon. Change your story. Cheers.